Hello, and welcome back. Happy Friday, everyone. Yay. So, this came up for me today for a couple reasons, this topic. One, I'm watching this movie called The Brave One with Meg Ryan. Is it Meg Ryan? No, not Meg Ryan. Jodie Foster? Is it Jodie Foster? Doesn't matter. She gets assaulted. Her fiance ends up getting murdered through this assault. And now she's trying to live a life after that. And it got me thinking about PTSD and things of that nature. And a lot of these little keywords in this movie are like, springing to mind about personal past with trauma and things like that. What was like one of the things? So it's like, she said one of the things that just really stuck out for me was like the last scene that I was just watching, but I paused it because I only watch it during lunch. Got a little bit of movie time during lunch. But she had said, because her boss was trying to fire her because like she's not right after the trauma, right? And she's like, you can't do that to me. Like, I can't not do this because I don't want to disappear. And she has friends. She doesn't really have family or anything. And her fiance was like her only tie. But even though she has friends and there are people that care about her, it doesn't matter. She feels like she's disappearing because that's not the point. It's not about being perceived by others that makes you feel like you're disappearing. It's because your old self is gone. And she's not coming to terms with that yet. That's what I'm recognizing as watching this movie, because that's the stage you get to right after trauma. You're watching the old you disintegrate. You look in the mirror and you don't even recognize that person anymore. And it's that loss of identity that can really, it sends you into a panic. And that's kind of what's happening in the movie right now. She's in a panic. Like, who am I? Who's my identity? And due to trauma, a couple pathways do open up for you. One is that healing journey, the acceptance of self after trauma, and trying to get to know that person, that new person who might flinch or shudder when someone walks behind them for too long, somebody who constantly looks over their shoulder or sits so that they could see the door at a restaurant, things of that nature. And those things become a part of you. You don't consciously think that way any longer. You're not saying, let me do this so that I protect myself in this way. These are now innate functionings. A function that you never had to experience before this situation. And now you're looking at that new self who's more tired, more exhausted, more distracted, has more brain fog and confusion, because you're filling up your awareness to protect yourself from future trauma. And that's the person that's the unrecognizable person. The person, she said in the movie too, you don't think fear could touch you until it does. And then you realize that fear has been there the entire time. It has. We just don't notice it. And after trauma, our bodies, our instincts, our innate functionings evolve to change, to adapt. And that changes us forever. You cannot go back. You just can't. And I've mentioned in one of my videos before how I do consider that some type of evolutionary growth, because if you can overcome that trauma, if you can find ways to find life again, then that is the next stage of evolution of self. Because you didn't die. You weren't lost. You were given a second chance, maybe even a third, a fourth, a fifth, in my case, 1,000,000. Now, what do we do with that? And as much as these new implementations of awareness, hypervigilance as they call it, as much as they protect you in your mind from having that situation happen again, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's just exhausting. Because no matter what you do, besides like learning self-defense, which still, at the end of the day, not all the time works. You might have, right, no, don't need to go into that, but the point is, should we live in fear for the rest of our waking lives because of the possibility of repetition of trauma? It's crazy because I battle this a lot. I think of this a lot. But also, when I start to go down this rabbit hole, I recognize that I don't fear strangers trying to strangle me. You know, it was someone I knew. And I think, and then, so take that. So it's someone I knew. So why am I not getting strangled anymore or physically assaulted? Because I've upgraded my lifestyle to a place where that's not even an option. Yes, is it still possible that strangers could mug me on the streets, get mad at who I am as a person just because I'm existing and attack me? Yes, that's totally possible. I'd almost rather that. Okay, not that you get what I'm saying though. Like, that's more out of left field. It's like a surprise. But at the same time, it's almost like it makes sense because they're strangers. Not the point though. Moving on. So, you heal. But while you're healing, because I've done this a couple times, more than a couple, but I didn't change the lifestyle. I maintained the lifestyle that I lived. Sure, was it like, it only seemed harmful to me. I wasn't really like, but that didn't matter. It made me vulnerable. You see other people harming themselves. Why can't they harm you then? You already accept harm. So I shall be the next to harm you. Now, 12, whatever years later, a chunk, 10 years, 8 years later, I'm in a place in my life where I don't self-harm at all. At all. Like, not even minutely. You know, yes, I've had one bad day this year so far where I was harming myself in my mind, you know, listening to those parasitic thoughts. But that was like one of those days, you know, I got over that. We proactively moved through it and we found the tools to get out of that. Like, we're always trying to move away from that. So I'm radiating a frequency of self-love, no harm, self-respect, self-care. And then all the new people who have attracted to my life since then would never even consider those things as an option because I'm not vibrating at that level. Like, people like that vibrating at a harmful level can't even weasel their way into this new life that I've built because they will stick out like a sore thumb, man. Like, you'd be like, oh my God, why is this person here? Like, right? I know, that's really obvious. Exactly. Like, but because there's no reminiscence of self-harm in my lifestyle, I seem to, knock on wood, but dude, my theory is that's what's been keeping me out of violence. Because how come it happened over and over and over and over again until I decided to change? Until I decided to change. Isn't that crazy to think about? Because when you become that victim in that vulnerable space, you don't feel like you have that empowerment to turn around and be like, you know what? We got this. We're going to just change our lives, change everything about how we think and how we act. Like, no, you don't think like that consciously. You don't even have the energy to do that. All you do is get thrown into this misidentity, this new identity. You're unrecognizable, and you fumble your way through that until you like learn how to not keep suffering. And for me, it didn't just take one trauma. It needed to be a compoundment of them to wake me up to not me, basically. To wake up and finally recognize, I don't know who this person is. And that's like a fresh slate, though. It's a blank canvas. So who do you want to be? Now, I want to show an example, so I got to get up. An example of what I mean about, I'm about to move into my next topic. I've broke my humerus in half when I was younger, a teenager. And it had to be like this, braced like that, to heal after the surgery, and they put pins in it. I find myself when I'm in like cozy, maybe just a little bit more vulnerable days, like I'm not saying low energy, just like more just unconscious, like I'm just kind of like floating through my day, and maybe I'm a little tired or something like that. I notice I do this. I'll walk around like that. Now, does my arms still need that? Does it still need that motion or that protection? Does it still need that? No. It's been 20 years. It doesn't need that. But it's ingrained in my body that is comfortable and protecting. So it's stored in you. Doesn't matter how many times I stretch it out. I do PT on myself. My partner helps me with that. We try to get it going, like, because I still don't have the full mobility, but it's fine. Like, I don't think about the trauma. I'm not sad about the trauma. I get arthritis in the winter sometimes, but it's not an ever-present thing. The pain isn't on the forefront of my mind ever, but I still do that. So that just goes to show you how ingrained this new way of being after trauma can become. And it takes mindfulness and self-awareness to then dismantle those self-protections that you've put in place that are actually, they're comfortable, but they're actually harming your potential to live this new life. It's holding you in this safe space, but you're not. It's holding you like quicksand. And it takes becoming conscientious, like of noticing that, and need to put my arm down and do a couple of these. Make sure I stay open, flex out. To do the opposite emotion action is what it's called in DBT skills, dialectical behavior therapy. Opposite emotion action. That's what it's for when it's the unseen trauma. For the seen trauma, I still use that concept, but it's probably like opposite physical, I don't know. But opposite emotion action is the unseen way to, the unseen realm to work on. So what does that mean, opposite emotion action? That you're aware that you're having an emotional reaction to a situation, and you've come to the clarity that it's not unsafe. It is not that past trauma. It may be reminiscent, might be just, triggering in some one thing. It could be a smell. It could be a thing you heard real quick, like whatever. And it takes your mindfulness. That's why mindfulness is very heavily induced and taught in trauma outpatient programs, so that you can become mindful of your surrounding, of yourself, of the situation, and take the time to observe and participate in it from a place of middle ground, per se. To acknowledge that I'm feeling an emotion that does not fit the current environment. Therefore, it is linked to my trauma, my open, gaping wound that needs cleansing and healing. So it's important to not allow yourself to do whatever those protection tools are, those ones that I mentioned will hold you stagnant, like that'll hold you in that safe space of death, basically. And you have to opposite emotion action. So don't run away. Don't check the door. Don't look over your shoulder, even though you feel like doing so. Recognize the safety of where you are and retrain your brain to seek the positive outcome. Because trauma also has a way of infiltrating our minds to an extent over time. If this is left untreated and unchecked, it will retrain your brain to seek all negative outcomes so that you can protect yourself. In turn, though, you are taking your energy frequency output and you are dropping it down to be in tune with all of those negative outcomes. Meaning you now vibrate at the frequency of negative outcome. Going back to the movie she had just mentioned too, I now walk the streets at night. She's rediscovering, right? And I keep finding all these unseen places that I've never noticed before. And she goes, is it me noticing them or is it them finding me? That's her figuring that out. That she is now attuned to the darkness of the city. She is attuned to the evils and the scum and the trauma of the city. She's attuned to it and she keeps on finding it. She ain't finding it. It's finding her. Because she now vibrates at the frequency of fear, of negative outcome expectation. And now it's all she can see. And your reality will become that way. And there's a meme floating out there on Facebook that's like, heal so that you don't bleed on the ones who haven't hurt you. And that's all good, like true. I care about that. But at some point in trauma healing, at the beginning, I didn't give a shit. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. Just get away from me if it bothers you. I'm working on it. But I'd rather take that meme and translate it into heal so you stop bleeding. We always see that, how it always becomes your trauma and how it affects others. It's affected me more than other people, so heal so you stop leaving a trail of blood behind you that predators can sniff out. Heal so that you don't become the same frequency of your abusers. Heal so that you become unseen to the world of darkness and disgust. You know, it still could happen, but that's the point, though. Like, you either have that freak incident, you know, or you heal, and instead of doing that all the time, you just stop putting yourself in environments that cause you to check over your shoulder. Heal so that you recognize not every single freaking person that talks to you is owed your response. Heal so that you can realize and integrate what you've learned from the traumas of your past into a thriving lifestyle without hypervigilance, without agoraphobia, without anxiety, Because I'm not going to entertain a man who says, hey, I know you, as I'm walking out to my car. I'm not going to turn around and go, oh yeah, from where? It's a little dark. You want me to put a flashlight on? Like, let's see who you are. Like, no. I didn't feel fear, though. Just action. I don't need to stand here right now. So there is a way to integrate what you've learned without also maintaining the, for lack of better words, the jumpiness, the vibrational frequency of fear. Like, how do you live after trauma without fear, but also with acknowledgement and acceptance that fear is out there, but without being in fear? That's the goal. That's the key. And I think, and that's why I just feel like trauma survivors are like the evolutionary upgrade of human, because if you can overcome that and live again, but as this new person, what else are you capable of? Nothing is like, you are unstoppable. Nothing can touch you anymore. Because even if it does, you're like, yo, I'm just going to adapt and evolve. But when you live in fear, embodiment of fear, that's that the whole thing. Let's just story time. When I lived in fear, I also didn't have a car at the time. So I spent a lot of time walking to and from work. Plethora. This was after I had been sexually assaulted and physically, like after all of those traumas. This is me trying to live a new life. I moved to a new town, but I didn't shed the fear. Okay? So no one knows me here. And so I have this assumption of safety, yet I didn't shed the fear. So the fear of that town found me, sought me out in ways like this. So after traumas, your girl ain't walking down the street in shorts and a tank top. Ever. I don't do that. It's not out of fear. It's out of just, I'm just kind of tired of, like, not everybody gets all that, you know? You gotta, like, earn that. Like, my partner earns to see me in my sexy self. I'm not just gonna be out on the streets. So that's just who I am, with or without sexual trauma. That's just how I am. So I tell you that because I want to let you know I was not dressed in a provocative way. I had pants on and a polo coming from my job. And a man stops in his car to allow me to cross Main Street. In my mind, wow, that's really nice. Thank you. And I do the little wave. I'm not going to lie, though. I was not in this form. I was in fear form. So, depressed form, like, and maybe it's not read by what my face looks like, but it's definitely read by my subtle energy output, because that old man did me that kindness, then leaned his head out the window to, yeah, and like say derogatory sexual things at me. Because I'm attracting it. Because I now assume all men want derogatory things from me. Or want to derogotize me, if that's a word. And side note real quick before I continue with this point. I'm kind of glad for that, because now in my healed era, I just don't give a shit about men or the validation of men. The only men that matter in my life are my dad, my brothers, my partner, my partner's best friend, because I trust him. If you aren't one of these men, I don't give a shit if I make you feel uncomfortable. I don't give a crap if you feel condescended or disrespected. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. You don't need to do anything with me. You don't. If you don't see a girl get up and cross over the restaurant to go talk to you because you have a cute outfit on, you don't accept that from a man either. Because why is he doing it? No, he doesn't like your outfit. Oh, I complimented your outfit. Doesn't mean you can get your number? Oh, you could have at least been nice. Nah, dude. Nah. People don't do that. Random people don't do that. Sometimes, and if a girl were to do that, go out of her way, I'd be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. The outfit must be that great because you got up and took time out of your day to let me know. Because you have no expectation of return. But as the woman I have become, if you're not one of these four, I'm pretty sure you want an expectation of return. So don't talk to me. So that's another way that past trauma has kind of empowered me into this like warrior goddess, girl's girl, like I'm flabbergasted when hey, how's the weather? Like, dude, get away from me. Anyway, I'm nice to people. I'm not like just to me. Like if I'm like ordering something from a dude and he works at a place, like that's different. But I'm talking, you know what I'm talking about. If there's ladies watching, you know what I'm talking about. So back to the main point. So that happened. I immediately started bawling my eyes out, ran to my house, and I think I even had to call out of work for the next couple days after that because I felt sexualized, I felt disgusting, I felt graped all over again. Now, I say that story to now flash forward into this version of self. That never happens. It happened multitudes of times in my past. Now, never happens. You know what does happen? I get polite smiles and hellos from like people, including men, but like upstanding gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? Like someone helped me pump my gas the other day because I was having trouble with my card. Like, silly me. I used my expired debit card because I switched my purses out. Whatever. Why do I keep them? I got a problem here. I gotta let go of these things. And like, it's because I carried myself in a respectful way. I had no fear. I had confidence. And there wasn't a... Dude put it in my car and walked away. He wasn't like, so, where are you from? Where you live? Blah, 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 blah. Right? Because I'm vibrating at a frequency of, yeah, I know I deserve to be treated with kindness, but you know you ain't getting shit from me. And I love that about myself. It took the multitudes of trauma to get me there. And that is why at this point, I no longer view those things as negative. I view these things as necessary evolvements of my own life. Evolving, I needed those things to evolve. Is it shitty that I had to go through it like that to gain the person I am today? Yeah, no one said it's fair, but look at the outcome. Look at the trajectory of life-changing capability because of that. I never had that strength before. I had ego. I had passive aggressiveness. I had fake aggressiveness and toughness as a shield. But that don't hide your vibrational frequency. You still attract the predators. But now it's different. It's worth it. It's worth the effort to integrate these experiences and get to know this new identity. It's all right to let go. You're not that person anymore. You completed a side quest and you gained a bunch of loot. You put it in your inventory and you use it for the next quest. You don't keep checking over your shoulder to make sure the dragon that you slayed in the last quest isn't following anymore. You trust that you've done your job. That's the difference. And it's taken me years. And yes, I still have I was just filling up my water bottle and crying. Like just before this video. Because I was reminiscing of a memory. And as I was crying, I said to myself, I am so sorry that happened to you. I said, but you know what's awesome? I will never let that happen to you again. And we were like, okay. And that is empowerment. Because I've built my life to such an extent that shit wouldn't happen to me again. I don't allow open cracks and doorways into who I am. We are solid. Okay, that's why I brought this bun too. See this? This is supposed to represent the Japanese technique. I'm not going to pronounce it correctly. It begins with a K. But the concept is every time that a pottery or something or a vase had been broken in, I think, is it China or Japan? And I apologize if I'm getting this wrong, but I think it's a Japanese term. They then would fix the broken and fill in the cracks with gold. That is the next stage of evolution. You are not, okay, the Beatles song in Sgt. Pepper's, I'm fixing a hole where the rain gets in and stops my mind from wandering where it will go. Same concept. That's how I take that song. Filling in the cracks. So I'm not wandering all over the place. I'm focused. And I know what I need. And I know how to integrate from the past and into my future. And I'm not allowing excess energy to escape through that hypervigilance and the flinching and the fear. Filling the cracks. I'm eradicating the fear. I'm eradicating the brokenness. I am now pure. And that's why I really like this terminology too, because gold is representative of not only the solar plexus chakra, that's why all my stuff behind me is gold, which is your confidence, your willpower, your self-discipline, your strength, your personality, but also gold in like religious texts is like the most pure, because it's the only thing that you could bury in the ground and it won't tarnish. Like if you were an archaeologist and you dug up some stuff like some jewelry or something from ancient eons ago, the iron, the copper, the all those other metals would have some type of tarnishing on it, some kind of growth mineralization, except for gold. Because you become untouchable. You become untarnishable when you fuel that solar plexus with that confidence, that willpower, and that strength, and that personality, and that overcoming. Isn't that just great? Like, trauma is meant to empower us. Crazy to think that way, because it definitely doesn't feel like that at first. But that's what it does. If you can heal it, which you can. If you can feel it, you can heal it. You will become like gold. Gold. And that's why I think people who've overcome and survived trauma are the evolutionary creatures of our future. Because they are untarnishable. Boom. On that note, have a great weekend. Become like gold. And I'll see you on Monday.